Today is September 25th, 2024. My name's Melissa Ackerman, and I have the pleasure of interviewing Alex Ray today. How are you?
I'm good,
Good
thank
to
you.
see you. Tell me about your family, your parents, what you know about your grandparents, kind of where and when were you born? Let's start there.
Sure. I was born in Dallas, January 25th, 1962, at Baylor Hospital, the same hospital that my mother was born and my grandmother was born, and all three of my children had been born. So my mother and father were Gail and Jane Ray. Gail is actually even though my father hated the name Gail, that was his name. And my father's parents were Oscar and Alma Ray, and my mother's parents were Aline and Julius Rutland.
Okay, so you're third generation Dallas?
Yes.
Okay,
third
where
generation
did
Dallas.
your family come from before they settled in Dallas?
My mother's parents came from Germany, and they landed in Galveston in the 1860s.
Wow, way back, okay.
Mhm.
And how'd they end up coming up to Dallas?
They were my grandfather knew the Sanger brothers, Sanger Harris, I think Joskie's after that, and offered the Sanger brothers offered my grandfather a job.
And what,
And
doing what?
working in their stores. When they first started out, they were just like general stores, like in small towns like Corsicana and all the way up into West Texas.
Okay, and they settled in Dallas and?
They settled in Dallas in the 1870s. My
That's
grandfather,
very early.
my grandfather married Carrie Kramer from Louisville, Kentucky,
Okay.
and he brought her down to Dallas.
Okay, did they live in a particular part of town?
They lived, the first house was, I think everybody knows, was called the Blue House, which
Why was it called that?
it was painted blue,
Oh.
but it was painted blue years and years and years later. And up to a few years ago was moved back to the Cedars neighborhood, which my grandfather developed and named it the Cedars.
Oh, okay.
And so that was built in the 1870s. I think even to this day, it's the oldest two-story wood frame house in Dallas.
And
thanks
is it
to
in South,
It's in the
south,
Cedars,
south,
like just south
Forest,
of downtown
Forest
Dallas.
Avenue?
Well, the second house my grandfather built was on South Boulevard off of Forest Avenue. He
Okay,
built that in 1914, and it still stands today. And I actually got to go about 10 years ago when they did a renovation with my mother, and it was pretty neat.
wow. So did you have any brothers or sisters?
Have a brother, Jordan Craddock Ray. He's 2 years younger than I am.
Okay. Does he live here?
Yes, he does. He lives in Dallas. He works for the Boy Scouts of America for like almost 30 years now.
Okay, and are your parents still around?
No, they passed away in 2000. My father in 2007 and my mother in 2017.
Okay, and where did you grow up as a child?
I grew up in Dallas, like the Preston Forest area.
Okay, what
North
schools
Dallas.
did you go to?
I went to George B. Dealey Elementary,
Mhm.
and then I graduated from Hillcrest High School.
You go to college?
I went to UT Austin for 3 years, and I graduated from SMU
Okay,
with a degree in Bachelor in Fine Arts.
okay. So is that the only time when you went to UT, the only time you haven't lived in Dallas?
That's correct.
Okay. So what kinds of things did you like to do as a child?
I lived the typical like Leave It to Beaver neighborhood. I was very fortunate. My father worked all the time. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. I had some of my best friends, even to this day, were my neighborhood friends.
Mhm.
And we played outside and got into trouble and all that good stuff. And I was always in the Scouts. I was a Boy Scout, a Webelow.
Mhm.
Then I moved into Boy Scouts and eventually became an Eagle Scout.
Yeah, what year did you?
1978.
And did you have certain projects that you worked on?
All the time.
Mhm.
I was the first Jewish Eagle Scout from North Haven United Methodist Church, and that is where our pack from Dealey went into that Troop 800.
Okay, that's
And my
great. Did your parents belong to a congregation when you were growing up?
Temple Emmanuel.
Okay.
My great-grandfather was one of the founders of Temple Emmanuel.
Mhm.
My grandmother, Aline, worked for the rabbis for over 50 years.
Which rabbis? You know?
Rabbi Lefkowitz,
Mhm.
I know Rabbi Lefkowitz and Rabbi Owen, and some of the, and then towards the end, Rabbi Klein.
Mhm. And did you have a bar mitzvah or get
I was
confirmed?
bar mitzvah in 1975.
Okay. Were your parents active in the congregation?
My dad taught Sunday school for like 20 years. My mother and my grandmother, my father's mother, they ran the Judaica shop.
Mhm.
And they were always, every Friday, they were always making food and snacks and stuff for the kiddish after
Mhm.
services on Friday.
Okay. Did you belong to any organizations when you were Jewish organizations, BBYO or Temple Youth? or
No
anything?
Jewish organizations when I
Okay.
was young.
Okay.
But-
Did you play sports?
No, not really. My brother was the athlete of the family.
Okay.
I was the person that was building things or working on cars and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't play a lot of organized sports.
Okay. So tell me about some of your experiences in school. You went to college. What would you say you graduated with a degree in?
Bachelor of Fine Arts
Do you?
in advertising.
Okay. So have you, what kinds of things, when you got out of college, what did you do?
I wanted to go into film marketing and advertising. My mother's cousin at one time was vice president of 20th Century Fox, in charge of, advertising and marketing. I thought that was just the neatest job.
Mhm.
And that's what I wanted to do. That's why I went to SMU, because they had actually a minor in that.
Mhm.
But I didn't want to move to Los Angeles, so I wound up working for a theater chain, General Cinema, which is no longer around.
What did you do for them?
I managed movie theaters for them. They had a film buying office in Dallas,
Mhm.
but it was small, and it was just really hard to break into. So then I went into my second interest was construction.
You said you like to build, and
Mhm.
so.
Ever since I was probably in the first or second grade, I was building little forts and stuff in our backyard with neighbors. And then in 1974, I was all 12 years old, and some neighbor friends, there was some space in our backyard which was kind of secluded, and we wound up building a 2-story structure with stairs and a fireplace.
Mhm.
I think we stole some of the lumber to build it with, was the Preston Forest fence.
Uh-huh.
The police came and they kind of laughed and let it go, but we actually had to have this building inspected by the city of Dallas. We had to have a permit. It got
Are you serious?
out of hand.
It was so involved, so
we
much.
had it wired for electricity. The inspector came and approved the framing. He goes, "No, this wiring will never work." Well, we had tried it prior,
Mhm.
and he goes, "I'm going to give you your final as long as you don't use this electricity. So we closed it all up, but we marked where the electrical boxes were. The inspector came and passed it. It really upset my father because now he had to pay more property taxes. But it had hot and cold. I mean, it had a concrete floor, it was really, that's what I did. We built things and as I got older, worked on our cars. And I did not have the typical Jewish childhood. I mean, what didn't do BBYO, even though I went to Hillcrest and I was kind of considered probably an outcast, probably, even though I was bar mitzvahed and confirmed all the way through Temple.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think you might be an outcast? Just were you kind of shy, or just
No, I wasn't part of BBYO
Okay.
youth movement, and people, they just didn't understand why.
Why
Why don't you want to belong? And
Yeah.
like,
Just one of your
yeah,
things.
and Boy Scouts took a large part. You know, I moved my way up through the ranks to senior patrol leader, which was the highest rank of leadership you could get, and it came with a lot of responsibilities.
So, as you've had children, have any of them been interested in scouting?
Yes and no. You know, at one point I wanted to get my oldest son to join. Always wanted him to join the Temple Emmanuel troop, and right before he was really old enough to join, there was a woman who had never had children in the Scouts, and she went to Rabbi Stern and said, the Boy Scouts is really not inclusive. They don't want to have gay scoutmasters, et cetera, and a huge brouhaha started, and it came down to Rabbi Stern goes, "Oh, we don't need them; they're done." And so, after over 100 years, and it left me the really bitter taste in my mouth, and I go, "We're not doing this. Sorry." I said, "If you want to join another troop, you can, or if you want to play baseball," and they wanted to play baseball, and it was tough.
That's disappointing.
Really disappointing.
Yeah.
And that's one reason why we joined Sherith Israel.
After
Because
that,
I think that we were definitely a Rabbi Klein family, and I think when he passed away, the new reform movement kind of took over and, kind of wiped that all away, even though the people at my mother's age had grown up with Temple and was very reformed. And all of a sudden now they have a cantor, they have instruments, they have, a lot of more things in Hebrew. And I went to a Friday, there was a Saturday service. My mom went to go to say Kaddish for my father, and I went, and all of a sudden they start all these tambourines and guitars, and then they're saying these prayers, and I look at my mother, and she goes, but she still loved the temple. I mean, she
that's what she had grown up with.
Yes.
Okay. So, tell me how you met your wife.
I met my wife at a Jewish singles event.
Okay. Do you remember what year?
1986.
Okay.
I take that back. All right, 1980s. No, 1988, because our first date was September 1st, 1988.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about her.
Well, at the luau thing, we started talking, and she goes, "Hey, can I get you a beer?" I said, "I'd love a beer. I think they're out of Shiner." She goes, "Well, let me go check." And I saw her go to one of the big gray trash cans, stuck her arm all the way in for a few seconds, fished around, and she popped up with a Shiner. And I said to myself, that's the girl for me.
Okay, so tell me a little more.
Sharon is She was from Fort Worth, graduated from Washington University of St. Louis. She had a degree in social work, and she wanted to go get her master's in in social work, and even started work on her PhD. I fell in love with her. She was funny. She put up with my dry sense of humor, and my parents loved her, and I loved her parents. And when I met her mother for the first time, she was just the most kind, gracious person. I said, you know, if that's the way Sharon's going to be, then that's who I want.
Mm-hmm.
And
What was her maiden name?
Wish, Sharon Wish.
And so has she continued with her social work career?
No.
What does she do?
She is the editor and publisher of the Texas Jewish Post, and she had worked there when she was really young, scraping tape off the floor. Her father hired her out of college, and I think that he never wanted anybody to work in the paper because he said he thought it was going to end with him because it was a very hard, time-consuming job.
Mm-hmm. He didn't think any of the kids would want
Right.
to.
And he made it so tough on Sharon. She quit. But when her father passed away suddenly, there was a family meeting, and there was the executor. It was one of Sharon's cousins from Boston. They had a meeting, and he said, "What was going to, whoever wants to keep the paper going, raise their hand." And there was Bob Radin talked to Sharon ahead of time, and Sharon said that she'd do it in the interim because the paper needs to continue. And it's been that way ever since. And she was working on her dissertation for social work, and she just dropped out, and it always bothered her mother that she didn't finish.
But she's carried on.
Right.
Carried on the tradition.
Carry on, and hope someone sees this one day, and I hope there's another Wish or a Ray or somebody carrying the tradition on.
Has she enjoyed the businessy part of it? It's
She doesn't like the businessy part of it. She likes talking with the readers, and she likes having being part of the community and bringing that news so people can read about themselves, read about what's going on in the community and the country. Her father was a little more Zionist, related Israel and things like that, and Sharon thought there needs to be more community involvement, more community news, and she kind of just redid the paper. It was called the Texas Jewish Post, and now it's really known by as the TJP.
Were you familiar with all of that when you met her?
No, I had a girlfriend at the time, and her parents subscribed to it, and I'd never seen it. And my parents, were very Reformed Jews, but I never heard of it. And then when I met Sharon, she says what she does. I go, really? That's really a thing? And yeah.
So how long were you married before you had children?
5 years.
Okay. And
5 years.
how many kids do you have? Tell me about
We
them.
have 3 kids. Benjamin, who was our firstborn, and
How old is he now?
Benjamin is 28. I hope I'm right.
Close.
Close enough. He graduated from Texas A&M. He works for a bank in Houston. He just moved back to Dallas to open up a branch here. This was about a month ago, so we'll see how it, when somebody looks at this, we'll see how it turned out. And then my middle son is Sam. Sam is 24. He lives in Chicago. He graduated from University of Georgia. And then Jimmy, who's named after my father-in-law. His name was Jessard, which he hated that name, went by Jimmy, but I always thought that there should be at least one more Jessard.
Mm-hmm.
So his real name is
So there's a form, that's his
Jessard.
name. Okay,
Right.
but his nickname is Jimmy.
His real name is Jessard Rutland, which is my mother's maiden name, Ray. But being in Texas, for some reason, people call him as Jimmy Ray, like that's his first name.
Okay,
So people, Jimmy Ray,
good old Southern name.
right, it's a good old Southern name. And matter of fact, first day of Jimmy's new school was meet the parents. I was introducing myself to a father, and I go, I'm Jimmy Ray's father. He goes, oh, well, what's his last name?
That's funny. So where is he now?
Jimmy's a junior at the University of Georgia.
Okay. Right, do you think he'll come back here to live?
I think so. I hope so.
It's nice. Nice to have your kids near you if you
Yes.
can. So what was your family's name before it was Ray?
It was Rachofsky. And
Okay.
there's still some Rachofskys in Dallas.
There are.
My grandfather, the story goes, I guess it was right around World War I when all the brothers got together. They had a meeting, and I guess one of the things on the agenda was the name, because it was a cousin who was a drill sergeant at an army base in Waco during World War I. He goes, I said, I've got to do something about my last name. And they said, why? Because he said these yokels cannot pronounce the name Rachofsky. So he said we should shorten it to Ray.
Hmm.
I think some of the cousins and some of my uncles, some of my grandfather's brothers agreed to change it. Some didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And evidently my great-grandfather, Gabriel Louis Rachofsky, was not very happy with them shortening the name.
Mm-hmm.
But my grandfather was in business, and so a couple of his other brothers, and they thought, well, Dallas, Texas, we should just shorten it to Ray.
They think anti-Semitism or just a bias that
I think it may be just a bias. I don't think it was so much anti-Semitism back then.
Okay. How has Dallas changed since you were a child?
Well, Preston Forest was on the outskirts of town.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, LBJ was just starting to be built. I mean, it's exploded.
Mm-hmm. What street did you live on? When you lived on?
Preston Haven,
Okay.
6047 Preston Haven.
Uh-huh.
And, back, Jewish organizations back in the day, there was Temple Emmanuel, there was Sheriff, and there was Tiferet. That was it. There was no Shomer Shabbos, and that was it. And everybody pretty much knew everybody in the Jewish community. And now it's just gone crazy.
Mm-hmm. Did you belong to the JCC when you were growing up?
I did. I went to preschool, kindergarten. My aunt, Orlean Roth, ran the preschool and kindergarten back then.
Okay.
And there's a picture of me with my nap mat on the front steps, which is not even there anymore. It's completely changed.
Yes.
My first day of kindergarten.
Did you go to camp?
Went to, I don't think they had I think there was a camp back in the middle 60s, late
Maybe right
60s, I'm
before
not
that,
sure, but I went to YMCA day camp, and then when I got older, I was in, summer camp in the Boy Scouts.
Mm-hmm. Sleepaway camp?
In a tent.
Where was it?
Most of the time it was at Camp Constantine with Possum Kingdom Lake.
Okay.
you still like to do camping and outdoor things that
I
you
love
like
to
to
do
do
it.
when you were a Boy Scout?
I love being outdoors still. A while back we bought a ranch in East Texas. And so I'd spend all my time out there on a John Deere tractor mowing and mending fences and stuff like that, and just, getting back to nature, and I really enjoyed that.
Is that relaxing for you?
And it was important that since my kids were in the Scouts, that they got to be outdoors and they got to know that there was another world outside of their Jewish day school, that there was, I think that really opened their eyes, and they learned how to fish and appreciate the outdoors and take care of the outdoors.
You still have the ranch?
No, we sold it. My boys wanted to play baseball, and I told them when we bought this that I would never beg and plead for them to go out there. They only do it if they wanted to go out and we had a meeting once with the boys, and that was it. And then now I get chastised all the time. Why'd you sell the ranch? Why'd you do this? And it broke my heart, but
Think you'll ever buy another place somewhere so that you can get out of town?
maybe. I think my oldest son Benjamin wants to buy a place. So when he gets a little more situated, so let's hope so.
And what else about your family or your growing up would you like to tell me?
I grew up with, my family was very close, my cousins and aunts and uncles, and we did Christmas with a Christmas tree, and much to the chagrin of some people, but there was a lot of other Jewish families that did. We had Easter egg hunts, and we were, most of my friends were not Jewish. When I went to UT, this has to do with growing up still, I guess. I was going to join the fraternity that my neighbor across the street, who's considered my big brother figure. And I told my father, he goes, son, you can join any fraternity you want, anyone. But the only one I'm going to pay for is a Jewish one. Because you have never done anything Jewish besides getting bar mitzvahed and confirmed. And, I know that you're proud of being Jewish, but, I will pay for any Jewish one.
Okay, and what did you decide to do?
I joined Alpha Epsilon Pi.
Okay.
Back in the day at UT, it was kind of like the Animal House. These guys didn't really care what anybody thought, but they were just a close bunch of kids from all over, and it was different because I'm the odd man out because I didn't really have any I knew some of the guys from Hillcrest High School and some from Sunday school, but it was probably one of the best. I got in trouble once for saying this. Sharon heard me. Probably the best time of my life. And
You still keep up with some of those guys?
I do. Oh, I'm having dinner with some of them tomorrow, and I was their pledge master. And these guys have stayed really, really close, and I get invited to everything.
That's nice.
And two of Sam and Jimmy are pies at the University of Georgia, and I flew down for each of their initiations and put their pins on. So that made me feel really good.
That's great.
And it made me, the chapter at UT made me, feel a part of something. And I got to, I took on some leadership roles, and it made me more of the fraternity was not religious at all. We did have Friday night dinners, but it gave me a feeling of being part of a group that I had a lot in common with.
You have a big family here in town. Does the family get together very often?
Well, really, as opposed to our the closest, I've got one cousin left. First cousin left, and one of them has moved away, and I've got some other ones I'm not really close with at all, but Benjamin is having lunch with one of my other first cousins today.
So has that generation
We're not that,
gotten to know each other?
no,
Not too well.
no, not too much. And I'm going to unveiling on Sunday of my dad's first cousin, Rita Smith. And her kids invited all of us, all the cousins, to get together for a brunch afterwards, which is going to be nice. But it's, you know, it's it's a shame. But I'm still really close to my brother. I'm close to my some first cousins, and I always wish that I was in my father's generation, because they did everything together.
I was going to ask you, did you celebrate holidays together with your family, extended family? How'd you celebrate? Did you do Shabbat? Did you do
We didn't really do
bigger
Shabbat.
holidays?
We did Thanksgiving, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur,
Do Passover?
Passover. My dad would come up with these costumes for us for Purim and things like, you know. My dad was, I mean, they're very, very proud of being Jewish, but they also were proud of being Texans and Americans, and not being so you know, focused on Judaism. I mean, and it was a big part of their life, but there was other parts that were important too.
But they wanted you to try, they were encouraging you to
Right.
try to
Right.
be part of the community and join
Right.
some organizations.
Right, and my dad would always decorate the house for Christmas.
Had he
And-
grown up with the Christmas tree
He
and
did.
doing all that?
But my father was very creative. He used to be a window dresser,
Oh, okay.
and he would decorate the inside of the house, so much that our neighbors and friends that weren't Jewish would come over, and they were just kind of in awe.
So
of the
was it
house.
more of the decoration, or did you do some of the traditional Christmas celebrations?
It was really just a tree and opening presents as a big family. And I asked my dad one year, I said, "Dad, we should put lights on the house." You know, back then it was just a very simple thing. He said, "Son, we don't need to advertise it."
Okay, just for you. Just for
Right, but you know, it was more of just it wasn't a religious thing, it was just a family tradition.
a happy,
thing.
joyous. kind of-
And Sharon had gone to a couple, and she went up to my father one year and said, you know, I really don't feel comfortable. And she goes, I really don't want to ruin the time you guys have. And it really upset my father. But he got over it.
Yeah, and what did you do with your own family?
Well, when we were engaged, that was the Christmas thing was a big deal for Sharon. And I said, I'll tell you what, let's go talk to Rabbi Klein. He knows me. He knows both sides of my family. So it's kind of like the pre-wedding counseling thing, and we're getting ready. We're getting done. I said, Rabbi, I've got one more question. He goes, what's that? So he looks at me, he puts his bifocals on his nose. I go, you know, my family's always had a Christmas tree. He goes, yes. He goes, if I recall, Rabbi Lefkowitz would go over to your mother's house and help decorate the tree. He goes, that's what she told me. And so Sharon really doesn't want to do a tree, but I want to keep the tradition going, and we decided, you decide. And I thought that he goes, you know what? I've known your parents forever and ever when they were, I've known Renee and Jimmy, and Betty and Chet. He goes, how old are you? He goes, you're around 27? I go, yes, Rabbi, I'm 27. He goes, you should give up the tree. And so we gave up the tree. I really thought he'd side with me, but no.
Was that hard for you?
It was really hard, but I'm over it. But my parents still did the tree.
Mm-hmm.
My parents still did, and we would go over. But once they were gone, it ended, and it ended on my dad's sister's side too. So,
Would it have been confusing for your kids?
Maybe at the very, very beginning. But you know what? I did it, and I was just as strong a Jew as any. My faith never faltered because I knew that was never going to affect,
You wanted to have a Jewish family, and
Yeah, and that was important to me. Just a side note, the reason why we started doing it in the first place was my grandmother, Alma, who was a farmer's daughter from Floyd, Texas, right out of Greenville.
I was going to say, where is that?
It's almost non-existent.
Okay.
It's still there. My grandfather had a jewelry store in Fort Worth. Evidently, this beautiful woman came in. My grandfather was smitten with her. He asked her for a date, and she was staying with a friend in Fort Worth. So he shows up with his calling card.
Yes.
He goes, "I'm here to see Miss Alma." The maid said, "Well, Miss Alma's taking a nap and she can't be disturbed." So he stormed off. So later on, she came to the jewelry store, apologized. Rest was history. They got married. My great-grandparents were very, very Orthodox, kosher. My grandmother's mother died when she was 16, lived in a farmhouse with no electricity, no indoor plumbing, and was responsible for her father and 3 other siblings. They got married the Justice of the Peace. My grandmother kept strict kosher, converted in the teens, kept strict kosher. The only place that my great-great-parents would go to eat outside their house was at my grandmother and grandfather's house because my grandmother kept it to the letter of the law. So as years went by, my grandfather decided that my grandmother gave up so much to become Jewish that he heard that she enjoyed Christmas so much that he was not going to take that away from her. And that's really where it all started.
Okay. Well, that makes more
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. Okay.
That's why I wanted to kind of put
No, that makes more sense to me, how it became a part of the tradition in your family.
right.
So I get that. So you moved over to Sheriff. Are you active in the congregation?
Not particularly. Sharon is, through work, everybody knows, and I go to a lot of the events. For as big as a synagogue it is, I find it a very warm place. I don't really read Hebrew, so I'm kind of still at a disadvantage, but I'm at peace with myself, and it's a very nice place.
It's comfortable for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have any role models when you were growing up?
Probably my father.
Why?
He was just this, he always seemed to do the right thing, and his father died when he was 16, and he wanted to be that figure that was always around his children and to spend as much time, even though it was as hard as he worked all the time. And, he gave of himself to his father, to our family. he was always looking for others first before himself. He was still taking care of his aunts and uncles. He was the person you could count on, and that's who I wanted to be.
Do you make it to all your activities that?
Well, I didn't really have a lot of sporting activities, but it was scouts.
School things in school.
Yeah, school things and scouts. He was at.
Had he been a
every
scout?
No, he was a Cub Scout. But he wanted to expose my brother. You know, we showed an interest in it, and he wound up even being scoutmaster after I got my eagle of the North Haven United Methodist Church. He enjoyed it, and he enjoyed being with his family, and that's who I wanted to be. And it was really hard to fill his shoes. He was a great husband, great father, and I wish he could have had more experience being a grandfather.
When did he pass away?
2007.
Okay, so your kids were really young.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. So, what are you most proud of?
My family. My wife, my kids. I think everybody says we've done such a great job with our boys. I think we did an okay. I mean, I think probably our children. Then I want them to grow up to be good role models for their family, and I hope some of that rubbed off. Some of the good things rubbed off.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell me about? You've got so many stories.
No, I kind of told you about my grandmother converting, and no, I mean, I've got a lot of stories, but probably
Okay, we covered a lot today.
we did.
I really appreciate it. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much.